नमस्कार। कहते हैं किसी भी चीज़ को अगर पूरी शिद्दत से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात उसे तुमसे मिलाने की कोशिश में लग जाती है। इन अदर वर्ड्स, wish for something so badly in life that the entire universe conspires to make your dream come true. Of course, थोड़ी सी मेहनत, बहुत सारी जिद, जुनून और आपकी रिस्क टेकिंग एबिलिटी भी ज़रूरी है। Risks and rewards are two sides of the same coin. If you risk nothing in life, someday you will risk everything. Today's episode is specially dedicated to all you beautiful women out there. Ladies, be willing to step up in life, take risks, take chances, and know that there will be setbacks. Treat every setback as an opportunity for a comeback. If you weren't capable, that opportunity would never come your way. So remember, you belong. Trust your guts, your instincts. And when someone tells you you are not good enough, you tell them, not only am I good enough, I am more than enough. I am the queen. By now, you all must have guessed that today's episode is of the women, by the women, and for the women. Because today is about celebrating womanhood. So, obviously, our guest speaker is a fabulous woman, a bold, daring, extremely hardworking lady with a lot of grit, integrity, discipline, and ironclad determination. She's not just an innovator, she's also a scientist, an entrepreneur, and a boisterous businesswoman as well. They say if you ever have to silence her, she'd probably need a tranquilizer. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we welcome our guest speaker today, none other than Dr. Deepa Bhazekar. Thank you, Dr. Deepa, for joining us today on Soulsome with Sarika as we celebrate the woman in you, the woman in me, and the woman in each one of you.
My pleasure to be here.
So, you have been the best outgoing student in school, the head girl. You have been acing the academics, the theatre, elocution, and whatnot. If I'm not wrong, you are the youngest PhD in the history of Mumbai University to have passed out. Regarding your business achievements, I'm not even getting started there. So, what I'm trying to say is, you always were and you are an overachiever. Coming straight to the point, how do men in your life handle you? I mean, at work, at home.
Well, that's a tough one to start
Yes,
with.
yes.
My husband's a very, very supportive man, to be very honest.
Right.
And I come from a family where my father brought us up, my brother and myself, both two had the same amount of freedom, really. So there wasn't any differentiation
Yeah.
just because I was a girl and he was a boy. We had the same amount of freedom. We were allowed to make our own decisions and our own choices. And to be honest, I think we were always asked our opinion as we were growing up.
Most
Most important because then we developed the confidence to first have an opinion and then to voice it.
Absolutely true.
And
So,
as a just to add here a
Yes.
line, I don't think I have ever recall being told what to do. So
And
the
what not
freedom
to do.
and what not to do.
Correct. Most important is what
Very, very
not to
critical.
do.
Very critical, especially
Right.
for a girl.
So, it's correct to say that when you have cooperation, when there is no inner stifle between a relation of a man and a woman, when there is no insecurity in any of them, that works best. Correct?
I think more than that, the understanding that is required when you keep erratic hours and you travel so much, I think that is very, very critical.
Okay.
And at the same time, I think for a woman, you have so many shifts that you need to do, right?
Yes.
So you have to look after the
Yes.
home and your,
Yes.
children and your business. And
Yes.
so I think you also need to have your time management in place.
Correct.
Because I don't think you can succeed in one
and
and
fail,
fail at the other.
Absolutely not.
So to be very honest, I think it's a 360-degree view
Right.
that you need to keep in mind.
Right.
If you want to be an achiever or want to achieve everything that you've dreamt
Which
of.
we want to. We are
Which we
hungry
want.
women.
That's true.
So, above all relationships, is every woman's priority to her child. I'm sure you must have been a superwoman on that front too. Let's say if you have to grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, where will you place yourself?
As a mother,
Yes.
I'd say 8.5.
Wow. That's a good score.
Not, I don't know. I mean, 11 would have been a better one, really.
That is
But there are so many school programs that I missed because I was traveling.
correct.
So while studies were taken on a regular basis while the son was growing up, and he's also an achiever. He did his CA and his CFA along with his BCom by 22, the American CFA 3 years.
Wow.
So he's also done very, very well in his school and college. So
And how much did you contribute in his career?
I think both my husband and I contributed really. Each one of us took his studies while he was growing up, apart from the classes that he went to.
Yes.
And he's also an independent-minded boy who chose his own career.
Important.
Very, very important. So I think
So you had nothing to do with his career choice?
zero.
Yeah. Point to be noted by so many mothers, including us. At a point, we forget that we are not supposed to be making 100% decisions for our children. So, since Dr. Deepa's son has turned out so well in life without her interference, I think it's best to do it that way for every mother. What do you say?
So I don't know that, but I think you can groom up to a certain age, maybe by 15, 16.
Yes.
After that, the child has to be brought up in such a way that he is able to take his own decisions, right?
Absolutely. And pay for it.
So, in fact, I'll tell you a very funny story. When my son went for his college admission, he said the entire line had children with their parents. I was the only boy who stood by himself to take his application
And if
forms.
not in college, then when?
I don't. There's never really a right time.
Yes.
But I think as the boy grew older, he realized the value of being allowed to do things on his own.
Yeah.
So he came back one day and told us, I've decided I'm going to take commerce and I'm going to do CA. And we all said, excellent. We are all science people in the family. We don't know C of commerce.
Yeah.
And CA is very, very far from any of our family members.
But that helped you, right?
He's the first commerce graduate, so to say. So, but he's done well for himself. He was always a numbers guy since he was a child. So I think he chose well.
And he's working for you as well, right? Or you are working together is a better way to say it.
Yes. I think it's just a matter of time that I'll start working for him instead.
Correct. Well,
Tables change.
Wow, that'll be like a proud day for you.
Of course, very, very.
Right. All right. Do you agree with me when I say that the day every single woman starts supporting the other woman in her life, be it your mother, your daughter, your mother-in-law, and most importantly, your daughter-in-law, won't we as women win half of life's battles? I mean, tell us about all the important women in your life, your pillars of strength.
So when I got married, I was just 21 and my mother-in-law is an anesthetist by profession. So it was the first time I saw a woman who left at 2 in the night for a case and came back at 6 in the morning. And very, very brave lady. And she's also a pilot. She also had a pilot's license for 10 years.
My God.
So at 21, when I got married and came home, I already had a lady to look up to.
Wow.
And she's been incredibly supportive of my business. The first business I started was when she retired. So she was at home to look after my son as well. And since I didn't have the funds to start something on my own, which I started with 20,000 rupees in my pocket, she came to my office to take the first set of phone calls because I couldn't afford an operator.
Wow.
So if you really ask me who's the woman behind me that really made me achieve all this, I'd say it's my mother-in-law.
What is most important for me is that there is a woman behind you who made you achieve this. And that is the message that we want to send across today.
Yes.
If there is a woman behind you, supporting you, taking care of the house, taking care of your child, you can scale whatever. Will it be correct if I say that it's a joint family structure that helped you scale great heights on your personal and professional front too?
See, I have something very candid to say at this point, that she's an achiever. I'm an achiever, and I have a daughter-in-law who runs her own business. So if you have 3 strong-minded women staying together,
Yes.
then everyone knows that any personal relations like this take a little bit of compromise, a little bit of
Yes.
understanding, and a lot of laughter.
Yes.
So you will see the three of us, we all live together. And I think we've all managed to find our space and give each
Yes.
other the same.
Yes. That is most
Very,
important.
very critical. So
Yes.
for my daughter-in-law, she's lucky because she has two people who ran businesses supporting her. My mother-in-law was into private practice. So that's how it is.
Wow. That
But I
is
think a joint family structure really has more advantages than disadvantages.
definitely because nowadays there's hardly any family where we see a joint family as such.
3 generations.
Absolutely. Important message again.
And I had
Absolute
2
takeaway.
grandmothers-in-law who were living with me, both fantastic women, really.
So you don't have to worry about the values that your child will get,
No.
what he will learn, how his upbringing will be. Because when you are out at work, there are enough experienced people back home.
That's true.
Right, right. Good girls don't take risks. Bold girls do. So you have always loved taking risks, isn't it?
So I've loved challenges.
Correct.
Normal routine sort of bores me quite a lot.
Mundane is not your job.
No.
So when you first started your business into the food testing labs, that brought out the innovator in you, right? After that, when your journey went ahead and you started your second business, that was more of an entrepreneur.
No, both were entrepreneurship. My first business was a food testing lab,
Correct.
which I started literally from a 400 square feet unit with a table and a chair from home and a refrigerator which I borrowed with really no capital to buy any equipment. And I started solving quality problems on the shop floor, and that's how that business took off. So it was a pure entrepreneur journey, the first one. And eventually, at the end of 15 years, I did a joint venture. At the end of 10 years, we did a joint venture with the number one food and water testing lab in the world,
Correct.
a French company.
Yes.
And then we grew it. We had a 3 or 4 storied building at Navi Mumbai with labs and offices across the country.
So whatever you did it apne dam pe.
So you need a team behind you, really.
Yes.
Apne dam pe you can take the first decision.
Correct.
But to implement it, you're not alone.
Yes.
You will need a fantastic team. And I was very fortunate. In both my companies, I've got fabulous people who support you. You need people to believe in your dream.
Absolutely.
Nothing, there are so many pitfalls along the way. So many times you fall, you get up and start running again. You can't do it alone. So,
But you've been managing right from scratch,
yes.
like getting the investment for your company, to building it up, to taking it further. All of that you've done on your own?
So I did borrow some capital from my husband when I started off.
Obviously, you need support from
But
somewhere.
yes, because I had only a sum total, as I mentioned, a very paltry sum of money, and he lent me some. And to be very honest, we were very fortunate. Since the business took off, we never borrowed again. So I've been debt free for all the 15 years that I ran the company.
Wow.
We never had debt on our books. And the only thing I think we grew well in an established arena of like a testing lab, there were several in the country, was because we were very good at our work. And I think we standardized tests to a very different level of accuracy and all of that. So I think some of these values sort of helped.
And also, when
grow the
you
business.
started your food testing business, I don't think it was a law made in India, at least by then, isn't it?
Yes, when we started, food was not a regulated business in the year 2000.
Correct.
And then the FSSAI, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, they brought out the law which converted to a regulation in 2011. So, yeah, there wasn't
So
any...
even when it was not mandatory that people will have to come to you, get it tested, and then certify that it's tested by so-and-so lab, even then you thought of starting this business and...
So I'm basically a doctorate in food microbiology.
Correct.
And very soon in my career, I realized that I'd be very happy doing things on my own and having the freedom to do it rather than, sort of
Working
anywhere.
for
So it's a
someone.
personality thing. It's nothing good or bad. And so I decided to start what I knew best, which was food quality. That is what I did my doctorate in.
Okay.
And when I look back, I think it was not because of the regulation when I started off. It was more about helping the client test food on time, finished products, raw materials, which actually help them save, understand the quality of their food, explain,
Yes.
understand the shelf life,
Right.
and look at it from a safety angle, which actually saved a lot of money for them as well. So because when batches fail, you lose the entire batch. So
Yeah.
testing helped.
So when you give a green signal, that they go ahead and produce that entire lot.
Not all of them, but
Okay.
yes, whatever results you issued to them as test reports, they evaluated them before going ahead with their
Okay.
decisions.
So your test report is extremely crucial to that particular brand, its value, isn't it?
Yes, because it tells them the quality of the raw material ingredient or the finished product that they have manufactured. So having an accurate test report in hand will help them take the decisions to launch it in the market or to continue the batches, selling the batches, making them the way they are making them. Yes.
Right. So suppose unfortunately something goes wrong with a particular batch or a particular brand, or if some other rival business is trying to malign its name, you have to step in, is it? As a food testing company or as their lab?
See, that is really the part of the company to decide how to go ahead with it.
Okay.
We are not involved in this.
Okay.
The business was involved in actually testing whatever was given to
Provided
us
to
as
you.
products.
Correct.
And many times, competitors wanted to analyze the products that were already in the market. So, to take precaution to protect the brand that they were testing, we never gave the entire name of the brand. We just used an initial for identification.
Oh, right.
So, to give you an
That's a smart
let's
way.
say an ice cream brand was trying to find out, test the quality of the competition,
Yeah.
so that they never misuse those test reports, we just mentioned an initial.
All right.
So they knew what it was, but they couldn't use that report as such.
Okay.
And this was followed all through the 15 years that we ran the lab.
You are a working woman. So am I. Let's use this platform today to tell all the working women out there who may be struggling that work life balance is not a myth. It's totally doable. I will never say that it's easy, but I'll definitely say that it's divinely satisfying. Your take on this, Dr. Deepa?
As I told you earlier, when I started my business, my son was in the 3rd or 4th standard. So there were always 2 shifts, You start the first very early, taking some studies, then business, then come back home. And then there are projects to be done and pencils to be sharpened. So when you stand outside that door, you switch off shift 1 and start the second one like it's your first.
Absolutely.
And I realized very early in my business that there is, if you want to do all of this, you just need to come home with the same amount of energy that you did start your day with. So with work-life balance, I think I've been all the 35 years, I've always been into fitness as a regime. So
Yes,
it's
most
either been
important.
yoga or it's been running, walking, and continues to date actually.
So it is, I would not say important, I would say it is mandatory that every woman takes care of herself first, tries and love herself first, and then take it up with the others, isn't it?
So I think this term work-life balance, in my opinion, is a little too heavy for me.
Yeah.
Because really, is there any work-life balance? All of us have so many things to finish at the end of the day. The list is endless and never actually all jobs don't finish.
Yeah.
So I think the whole success, I would say, more than just a work-life balance, is to ensure that the perspective with which you work and the perspective with which you run your household, I think keep your mind in a happier space. I
And
think
whatever it is at the end of the day, be content with what you've achieved on that day.
there again, I'm going to differ with you because
You will never be.
it's not that I will never be, but I just feel that hope keeps you going, right? So at every decade of your life,
Yeah.
the aspirations change, so do the
Yes.
goals,
Yes.
and so does your way of looking at life. So I would say I have still so many things to do. So I think content for me lies only in the dictionary.
What kind of change did you see in yourself working for so many years or in your personal life? Like, are you a more calm, relaxed person than you were before? Or will you never relax?
So, to be very honest, the only time I relax is when I'm exercising,
Okay,
running, or
okay.
doing yoga.
Yeah.
And then there are like a dime a dozen things to finish
Yes.
at the end of the day.
Yes.
But I'm more of a creator. So, I love creating new businesses. I love taking them to fruition. So at the moment, after I started a second company with, where my son has joined me.
Yes, yes.
And we're working together. It's another learning to work with a younger, smart generation.
Absolutely.
So I really think the entrepreneur in me is reborn, looking
Mm-hmm.
at business from a completely different angle. And last year, I did a course at Harvard Business School, a year's
Wow.
course in senior executive leadership program. So that really shifted my mindset almost 360 degrees.
Really?
And yeah, absolutely. Because not 360 degrees is coming back to circle, but
Let's say
it gave
somewhere
me so many
between.
angles
Yeah.
to look at business in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that perspective has helped both of us in the second company.
So learning is what keeps you
Learning is what keeps me going. Every
young
day that I have
also?
learned,
Yeah.
every day that I have learned, I
Yeah.
think is a day achieved. Every day that I have laughed is a day that's been fruitful.
Absolutely. So well said. So well said. You strongly believe that we all have one life and we need to find our calling in that. Will you, a little piece of advice for all those young girls who get up every morning, look into the mirror, and probably judge themselves, doubt themselves, or limit their dreams because of the limitations of their own mind? Will you just give us a small piece of advice?
My advice to would be that, all entrepreneurs or otherwise, all of us have some doubts and fears, right? Nobody is sort of born fearless with absolutely no worry about whether we will succeed, whether the choices we made are right, whether the goals we set are adequate, whether the journey we've chosen is the correct one for us. Are we moving at the right speed? Are we moving in the right direction?
Are we moving at all?
Are we moving at all sometimes? So it's not about a man or a woman, really. For every person who does something that's a little different and, off the beaten track, then there will always be these challenges. So if you take challenges, I think there are few things you need to know is that failures come several times before you hit success.
Yes.
So what keeps a woman going or a man going is in any career chosen is the tenacity which you have to get up and run at the same speed. So a lot of people give up when the going gets tough and the others get going.
And that's the difference
That's the
between who
difference.
reaches the
Yeah,
goalpost.
I mean, those who sustain
Yeah.
those tough times, and it's not that, there's a time span that the tough times are there and then they vanish. They never vanish. The crisis changes or the
Yeah.
challenges change.
Yeah.
But they're always there. It's part of everyone's career span, right? So it's those who counter them and find a way to sort of surge ahead. So for me, I think the more the hurdles, the more driven I am. And I think one part of me has become successful. The harder the hurdles, the higher the success, because your brain will then rack itself even, harder to
Yes.
find solutions. And
Yes.
sometimes you come out with the brightest solution that you didn't think of before because you hadn't faced that hurdle before.
So the most crucial times in your life, the most beautiful answers and solutions you'll come up with, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. The most difficult times are the ones where I think your brain works the sharpest.
Wow. So for all those man or woman struggling with something in life, remember that this struggle is going to give you the fruit at the end of it. All right. We always end or conclude Soulsome with Sarika with a classic question. And that is one lesson that life taught you and that you would like to share with our viewers.
There are several lessons that life has taught.
Yes.
One of them is that if you really want something badly, you very often get it. So I really believe that there is a universe that hears what we want.
Just how we started.
So be very careful with your thoughts. Aspire for the right things. Ask for the right things. And then let your antennas be open because they are showing you the way. If your antennas are open and you recognize what is the universe telling you and which are the doors that are opening, then you will find your path.
Yeah.
But if you have a negative approach and you feel, because fear is an aspect of everyone's lives, right?
Yeah.
So if you overcome that and look for where the answers lie, then I think they all lie in front of you. The doors start opening. So my belief in life is that there are a few things it takes to, so it's not like a learning, but I think for any person who wishes to succeed in any form of career, I think there are a few very common characteristics that one should have for always.
Like?
So one is, I think, the risk-taking ability.
Yes, absolutely.
Then I think you need courage.
Yes.
I think you need tenacity. And I think above all, you need conviction and self-belief. So, because the whole world may tell you this may not work, but you have belief in yourself, I think you're going to forge your way ahead, you know.
Yes.
So, I've led my life like that. I've been told so many times that, you know, Deepa, this is not going to really work out.
Huh.
Even when I started my first company.
Hmm.
But I've never looked back.
Hmm.
So, I think at the end of the day, when you believe in yourself,
Hmm.
I think automatically, so I've always been against the tide.
Hmm.
I've never gone with the flow sometimes.
And
but,
you have done so well. So what's
so-
the harm in going against the tide? As you
No, but
said,
you
it's
need,
only courage.
that's what I said,
lot
you
of
know.
courage.
You need self-belief and conviction in, and I think above all, no matter which business you choose to do, I think nothing beats knowledge. You need to know your subject and you need to know yourself well. And you need to have excellence in whatever you do. So success, I think, is a given because you've left no,
Nothing
gap.
unanswered.
Nothing undone or done to a level that is not, you know, sort of called excellence.
Right.
So I think if you do your best and give it your best shot, then I think there's no need to fear whether success will.
And despite so
be with
much
you.
calculation, despite so much conviction, you must have faced failures, but still, as you said, you found out a way out of that and kept going.
So I think for an entrepreneur, no, I don't know whether they see failures as failures.
Okay.
I think you see them as stepping stones because there's no option really but to overcome, right?
Correct.
So in your mind, when you face failure, the way I deal with it is I say, okay, things have gone wrong. Tomorrow is going to be better. So let's not face the same failure. So you
Yeah.
find a solution that you don't come to the same problem again. All of us make mistakes. I mean, no one's flawless, right?
Yeah.
So we make mistakes, we make wrong decisions, we make wrong choices.
Yes, we do.
And then you learn and then you move on and then
Yeah.
you make the right one.
Pay up
But
for
in
it.
life, when you look back and join the dots,
Yeah.
I think without those lessons, you wouldn't have the success in any case.
Superb. Absolutely.
So, for
absolutely.
everyone out there, I just want to give one message that please look at your failures as a picture that's incomplete. And when you join the dots, I promise you, when you look back in life, that picture is going to be fully complete and you'll know why you went through those difficult periods.
Wow.
So, smile
Wow.
at them when you face them.
Wow. So, can we conclude by saying that when you are going through a dark phase, it's not necessary that you've been buried. Maybe you've been planted. So, just wait for your time and then rise and shine.
May I add one more line, Dr. Sarika?
Sure, please.
I just want to say that whenever I'm faced with challenges, I don't look at them as, oh my God, I have a problem. What am I going to do?
Huh.
I always read it as, what is God trying to teach me?
Oh, lovely.
You know, what is it that I had to learn because of which this problem was placed in front of me?
Correct.
When you change your perspective like this, no problem looks
It's
like
a
a
beautiful
problem, you
way
know.
of taking it.
No, it's the way to learn because there is a learning in every problem. I firmly believe it.
Yes.
You don't go through challenges because time was bad. You go through challenges because what you needed to be successful was right staring at you in the face and you didn't know the solution.
And if I'm right, if you don't learn it there, those same problems will keep coming back till
No,
you learn.
if you don't learn it there, you're not going to meet that level of success. So for me, even if that challenge, and I believe me that sometimes the same challenge comes to you thrice. First time, second time, even the third time, I ask myself, what it is that I didn't learn the first two?
Correct.
You know, I came to this again, and eventually you put that puzzle together and it doesn't recur after that.
Yeah.
So my belief really honestly is just shift the way you look at your challenges. I'm not saying be positive because it's a very nice thing to read and it's a very difficult thing to implement.
Yeah.
But I'd say look at your challenges with a perspective that says, hey, what's in it for me to learn?
Yeah.
And
Lesson
then
learned.
the grief from it will go away.
At least.
And the
at least.
optimism will then come in place. You
Yeah.
know?
And
And for
then-
an entrepreneur, I think optimism is something you need every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to get cracking every morning, and there's a whole team behind you. If you're demotivated, then all of them down the line are going to.
True.
So I think that, and I think
For a leader, that's very important.
for a leader, you need to know what motivates you and what motivates yourself. So you need to, and who doesn't have challenges? Show me one person in life who's not gone through tough periods.
All of us, somewhere, whether it's personal, whether it's professional.
Every one of
Everywhere.
us. So there's either you can cry and mope and give up, or you can say, hey, you know, I'm just one of the rest. Everyone's got them.
I've
So
learned
what
my
can I
lesson
do?
today.
Oh, no, what can I do to get it going better?
Yeah.
So I think if you just shift the way you look at things, then I think.
I think it's a very, very beautiful way. Even I've learned a lesson today. Instead of sitting and moaning about it, let's learn, get on.
And remember, as women,
Huh?
especially for those girls who want to look at a career and
Yes.
want to have are going to look at full-time jobs or entrepreneurship or running businesses. See, you remember, at the end of the day, you have a household to run. You need to have great food on the table. You need to have happy kids, and you need to have a happy husband. and the rest of
Absolutely,
them.
absolutely.
And that's never going to go from your, role. And believe me, I've met women all over the world. They all have the same role to play. So I think what you have to learn is that it's a little bit more difficult for women
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
these
it is.
responsibilities are
I
part
totally
of
agree.
it,
I totally
are
agree.
part of that journey. So when you step out into this journey, remember that this is going to run a parallel, you have two parallel lives. So, and I think that will make it happier when you step up because there's no fatigue. So I must tell you the last line before
Yes.
we part,
Yes.
that I don't think fatigue or tired is a word I've used in, I don't know, as long as I can remember.
Wow. So that doesn't exist in your dictionary.
It
Wow.
only
What an
exists in the dictionary.
inspiration.
It doesn't
Yeah, so it
exist in my
exists in
mind.
your life. Yeah, right.
I
True.
think fatigue is only a physical thing.
Hmm.
So if
But
you exercise, you can get tired. But
yes,
otherwise,
you don't get fatigued because every day is so exciting for you.
so I've waited for sunrise even today.
Wow.
I've just waited for sunrise to get back to work. So the calling piece that you said, you have to love what you do.
Absolutely.
And if you love what you do, then every single day is going to wait for you, or you're waiting for that sunrise. I still wait for it.
Yeah.
The choices I made were not the obvious ones. The choices I made, and behind my table was a little saying by Robert Frost that says, "Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. I took the road less traveled by, and that has made all the difference."
Absolutely.
And with these few words, I just tell you
Yes.
what philosophy I ran my life
Absolutely.
with.
But very important, very practical, and very relatable.
Just one thing I'd like to add, and this is for everybody. Drop the E and let it go. This little thing called ego, swallow it, because in every phase of your life, be it career, personal, professional, it never works. And from a working perspective, for all these young children, you have the world's a stage, and you have so many things you can foray into now. The opportunities are endless. So one piece of advice is that there are too many opportunities. So make sure your goal is right. And once you have that focus correctly, just ensure that you're treading on the right path, and don't look at other opportunities, because this is one of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make. They want to grab everything that comes their way, and then they miss the goal post. So once your goal is finalized and the focus is clear, don't be afraid to let go of the smaller opportunities that weren't part of your plan. And this is something I've said in most of my talks. And if you really follow this piece of advice, then you'll make it to your goal post on time for sure. And break those shackles, whether you're a girl or a boy or a man or a woman. The limits of our mind are the ones that really chain us. So if you break those shackles, then anything can be achieved.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you again for joining us today. Girls, I'm celebrating myself loudly this year. And I don't care if no one claps. I'm going to clap for myself real loud. And what about you? With that, we conclude our episode today on Soulsome with Sarika. Hope you really enjoyed our show. Tell us how you liked it. And remember, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment on Soulsome with Sarika, where we bring to you yet another person behind the persona. Till then, take care, guys. Also, remember, life is short. Live it fully, love unconditionally, and laugh out wholeheartedly. Thank you, and God be with all of us.